Hello children, in my videos I read the chapter for you as it is very important for you so that you can go through the chapter with me, and this will definitely help you gain good marks in your exams. And if you will revisit my videos, it will help you in recalling when you are sitting in the exam and giving your paper, and you will also memorize the chapter thoroughly. Chapter 3, Agriculture. Gurpreet, Madhu and Tina were walking through the village where they saw a farmer tilling land. Tilling land means preparing or cultivating the land to grow new crops. The farmer told them that he was growing wheat and had just added manure to the soil to make it more fertile. He told the children that the wheat would fetch a good price in the mandi, from where it would be taken to factories to make bread and biscuits from flour. This transformation from a plant to a finished product involves three types of economic activities. These are primary, secondary, and tertiary activities. Now, what are primary activities? Let's see. So, primary activities include all those connected with extraction and production of natural resources. Agriculture, fishing, and gathering are good examples. Now, what are secondary activities? So, here we end with primary activities definition. Now, the definition of secondary activities. Secondary activities are concerned with the processing of these resources. Now, what resources we have extracted in the primary activity step. Now, here in the secondary activity step, you will process those resources. Okay. So, the secondary activities are concerned with the processing of these resources, which were extracted earlier. Then, manufacturing of steel, baking of bread, and weaving of cloth are examples of secondary activity. Tertiary activities. So, tertiary activities provide support to the primary and secondary sectors through services. So, here we start with the tertiary activities definition. Then, transport, trade, banking, insurance, and advertising are examples of tertiary activities. And here we end this definition. Now, agriculture is a primary activity. It includes growing crops, fruits, vegetables, flowers, and rearing of livestock. What is livestock? Cattle. In the world, 50% of persons are engaged in agricultural activity. Two-thirds of India's population is still dependent on agriculture. Now, before proceeding to the next paragraph, let's read this word origin box on the left-hand side. So, the word agriculture is derived from Latin words ager or agri meaning soil and culture meaning cultivation. So, in total, we can say soil cultivation. Okay. Now, come to the paragraph. Favorable topography of soil and climate are vital for agricultural activity. The land on which the crops are grown is known as arable land. Okay, so the land on which the crops are grown is known as arable land. Now, in 3.1 map, you will see that agricultural activity is concentrated in those regions of the world where suitable factors for the growing of crops exist. See here, you can read this map carefully. See, so this is world distribution of arable land, right? See here, you can see this is arable land. Now let's read this do you know box. Here, agriculture. Now the science and art of cultivation on the soil, raising crops and rearing livestock. It is also called farming. Then sericulture, commercial rearing of silkworms. It may supplement the income of the farmer. Then pisciculture. Breeding of fish in specially constructed tanks and ponds is known as pisciculture. Then viticulture. What is viticulture? Viticulture is the cultivation of grapes. Then horticulture. Horticulture means growing vegetables, flowers and fruits for commercial use. So you can learn all these definitions. Now farm system. Agriculture or farming can be looked at as a system. The important inputs are seeds, fertilizers, machinery and labor. Some of the operations involved are plowing, sowing, irrigation, weeding and harvesting. The outputs from the system include crops, wool, dairy and poultry products. So this is the input you will be putting here, then these will be the outputs, right? Now let's read this figure 3.2 and then figure 3.3. So figure 2.2 first. See inputs. Inputs are machinery, right? Seeds, chemicals, and output will be crops. Okay, so when we put these inputs, machinery, seeds and chemicals, and the processes will involve plowing, sowing and spraying. So after all these three processes, you will get output as crops, the final crops, right? Then figure 3.3, physical and human farm inputs. So physical inputs. What are physical inputs? Natural inputs. Means in the form of sunshine, temperature, rainfall, soil, and then slope. So these are very important inputs. Okay, so to get a good crop. Then what are human inputs? Storage, labor, machinery, and chemicals. Storage is what kind of storage? Storage is the crops you will cut and then you will properly store them. That is the storage part, right? Now, types of farming. Farming is practiced in various ways across the world. Depending upon the geographical conditions, demand of produce, labor, and level of technology, farming can be classified into two main types. So, these are subsistence farming and commercial farming. Now, let's read what is subsistence farming. So this type of farming is practiced to meet the needs of the farmer's family. Traditionally, low levels of technology and household labor are used to produce on small output. Subsistence farming can be further classified as intensive subsistence and then primitive subsistence farming. Okay. So let's read intensive subsistence agriculture. In intensive subsistence agriculture, the farmer cultivates a small plot of land using simple tools and more labor. Climate with large number of days with sunshine and fertile soils permit growing of more than one crop annually on the same plot. Rice is the main crop. Other crops will include wheat, maize, pulses and oilseeds. Intensive subsistence agriculture is prevalent in the thickly populated areas of the monsoon regions of South, Southeast, and East Asia. So, intensive subsistence agriculture is most probably possible in these areas, right? Now, before proceeding to the next page, let's read this interesting fact on the left hand side, organic farming. Now, what is organic farming? In this type of farming, organic manure and natural pesticides are used instead of chemicals. No genetic modification is done to increase the yield of the crop. Means nothing artificial is added to increase the yield of the crop. Now come to the next page. Let's read primitive subsistence agriculture. So primitive subsistence agriculture includes shifting cultivation and nomadic herding. So what is shifting cultivation? Let's read here. Do you know box on the right hand side? So shifting cultivation is known by different names in different parts of the world. Jumming in northeast India, then milpa in Mexico and Central America, then roca in Brazil, and then ladang in Malaysia. Okay. Now let's read shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation is practiced in the thickly forested areas of Amazon basin, tropical Africa, parts of Southeast Asia and Northeast India. Now these are the areas of heavy rainfall and quick regeneration of vegetation. A plot of land is cleared by felling the trees and burning them. Now this is I'm explaining you what is shifting cultivation. So in shifting cultivation, a plot of land is cleared by felling the trees and burning them. The ashes are then mixed with the soil and crops like maize, yam, potatoes, and cassava are grown. After the soil loses its fertility, the land is abandoned, means left for some time, and the cultivator moves to a new plot. So shifting cultivation is also known as slash and then burn agriculture. Okay. And we have already studied here by different names we know about shifting cultivation in different parts of the world. Now next, nomadic herding. Now nomadic herding is practiced in the semi-arid and arid regions of Sahara, Central Asia and some parts of India like Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir. Now let me tell you what is arid. Arid means dry. So mostly you will find this in desert regions. Okay. Now in this type of farming, herdsmen, and let me tell you who are nomads. Nomad is the people who move from one place to another, right? So nomadic herdsmen are the people who will move from one place to another, and nomadic herding is a process which they will do from not they will not do in a particular area, they will move to other areas as well. So let's read what is nomadic herding. In this type of farming, herdsmen move from one place to another with the animals for fodder and water along defined routes. This type of movement arises in response to climatic constraints and terrain. Sheep, camel, yak, and goats are most commonly reared. They provide milk, meat, wool, hides, and other products to the herders and their families. So you can see in figure 3.4 nomadic herders with their camels. Now let's read about commercial farming. Now what is commercial? Commercial is done on a large scale and is done for money, okay, for the business purpose. Now in commercial farming, crops are grown and animals are reared for sale in the market, right? If you will sell them only, then you will earn the money. So it is for money. The area cultivated and the amount of capital used is large. Most of the work is done by machines. Commercial farming includes commercial grain farming, then mixed farming and plantation agriculture. Now let's read about all these. In commercial grain farming, crops are grown for commercial purpose. Wheat and maize are common commercially grown grains, right? Major areas where commercial grain farming is practiced are temperate grasslands of North America, Europe, and Asia. These areas are sparsely populated with large farms spreading over hundreds of hectares. Severe winters restrict the growing season and only a single crop can be grown in a particular season, okay, in a year. Then what is mixed farming? In mixed farming, the land is used for growing food and fodder crops and rearing livestock. It is practiced in Europe, eastern USA, Argentina, Southeast Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, right? Then plantations. Plantations are a type of commercial farming where single crop of tea, coffee, sugarcane, cashew, rubber, banana or cotton are grown. So here only single crop is grown. So and you will find this all over the place. Every field will have the same type of crop. So large amount of labor and capital are required here because it is grown on a large scale. The produce may be processed on the farm itself or in nearby factories. The development of a transport network is thus essential for such farming. Major plantations are found in the tropical regions of the world. Rubber in Malaysia, coffee in Brazil, tea in India, and Sri Lanka are some examples. See here you can see figure 3.6, this is banana plantation. Then figure 3.7, rice cultivation. Then 3.8, wheat harvesting. Then 3.9, bajra cultivation, right? Now let's read about major crops. A large variety of crops are grown to meet the requirement of the growing population. Crops also supply raw materials for agro-based industries. Major food crops are wheat, rice, maize and millets. Jute and cotton are fiber crops. Important beverage crops are tea and coffee. Now let's read about rice. Rice is a major food crop of the world. Okay. So rice is the staple diet. See, it is the staple diet of the tropical and subtropical regions. Rice needs high temperature, high humidity and rainfall. It grows best in alluvial clayey soil which can retain water. China leads in the production of rice followed by India, Japan, Sri Lanka and Egypt. So major producers of rice are China, then India, then Japan, then Sri Lanka and then Egypt. In favorable climatic conditions as in West Bengal and Bangladesh, 2 to 3 crops are grown in a year. Then wheat. Now wheat requires moderate temperature and rainfall during growing season and bright sunshine at the time of harvest. It thrives best in well-drained loamy soil. Wheat is grown extensively in USA, Canada, Argentina, Russia, Ukraine, Australia and India. In India it is grown in winter season. Then millets. They are also known as coarse grains and can be grown on less fertile and sandy soils. It is a hardy crop that needs low rainfall and high to moderate temperature and adequate rainfall. So it doesn't require special conditions. So jawar, bajra and ragi are grown in India. Then other countries are Nigeria, China and Niger. Then maize. Maize requires moderate temperature, rainfall and lots of sunshine. It needs well-drained fertile soils. Maize is grown in North America, Brazil, China, Russia, Canada, India and Mexico. Now you can see a figure 3.10 maize cultivation. Then let's read about this maize also here in the do you know box on the right hand side. Maize is also known as corn. Various colorful varieties of maize are found across the world. Now next, cotton. Cotton requires high temperature, light rainfall, 210 frost-free days. 210 frost-free days and bright sunshine for its growth. It grows best on black and alluvial soils. China, USA, India, Pakistan, Brazil, and Egypt are the leading producers of cotton. It is one of the main raw materials for the cotton textile industry. Textile means the industries that produce fabrics, cloths. Okay. Then jute. Jute was also known as golden fiber because of its color. It grows well on alluvial soil and requires high temperature, heavy rainfall, and humid climate. This crop is grown in the tropical areas. India and Bangladesh are the leading producers of jute. Then coffee. Coffee requires warm and wet climate and well-drained loamy soil. Hill slopes are more suitable for growth of this crop. Brazil is the leading producer followed by Colombia and India. Then before proceeding to tea, let's read this interesting fact on the right hand side this box. Who discovered the coffee plant? Now there are different versions about the discovery of coffee. In about AD 850, Kaldi, an Arab goat herder who was puzzled by the queer antics of his flock, tasted the berries of the evergreen bush on which the goats were feeding. On experiencing a sense of exhilaration, he proclaimed his discovery to the world. Now let's read this tea. Tea. Tea is a beverage crop grown on plantations. This requires cool climate and well distributed high rainfall throughout the year for the growth of its tender leaves. It needs well drained loamy soils and gentle slopes. Labor in large number is required to pick the leaves. Kenya, India, China, Sri Lanka produce the best quality tea in the world. Here you can see this figure 3.13 tea plantation. Now next topic, agriculture development. Now agricultural development refers to efforts made to increase farm production in order to meet the growing demand of increasing population. This can be achieved in many ways such as increasing the cropped area, the number of crops grown, improving irrigation facilities, use of fertilizers and high yielding variety of seeds. Mechanization of agriculture is also another aspect of agricultural development. The ultimate aim of agriculture development is to increase food security. Now, why there is a need to increase agricultural development so that food is available throughout the year around the world. Okay, there is no shortage of food anywhere. Now, agriculture has developed at different places in different parts of the world. Developing countries with large populations usually practice intensive agriculture, where crops are grown on small holdings, mostly for subsistence. Larger holdings are more suitable for commercial agriculture, as in USA, Canada, and Australia. With the help of two case studies of farms, one from India and the other from USA, let us understand about agriculture in the developing and a developed country. So India is a developing country, right? Now let's read this do you know box on the left hand side. Food security exists when all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Now let's read this case study. A farm in India. Now there is a small village, Adilabad in Ghazipur district of Uttar Pradesh. Munna Lal is a small farmer in this village who has a farmland of about 1.5 hectares. His house is in the main village. He purchases high yielding varieties of seeds from the market every alternate year. Every alternate year means one, he will leave 1 year and then another year, the next year, okay? The land is fertile and he grows at least two crops in a year, which are normally wheat or rice and pulses. The farmer takes advice of his friends and elders as well as government agricultural officers regarding farming practices. He takes a tractor on rent for plowing his field, though some of his friends still use traditional method of using bullocks for plowing. So Munna Lal is using tractors while his friends are using traditional method of using bullocks, right? So there is a tube well in a nearby field which he takes on rent to irrigate his field. Munna Lal also has two buffaloes and few hens. He sells milk in the cooperative store located in the nearby town. He is a member of the cooperative society which also advises him on the type of fodder for his animals, safety measures to protect the health of the livestock and artificial insemination. All the members of the family help him in various farm activities. Sometimes he takes credit from a bank or the agriculture cooperative society to buy HYV seeds and implements. He sells his produce in the mandi located in the nearby town. Since majority of the farmers do not have lax storage facilities, they are forced to sell the produce even when the market is not favorable to them. In recent years, the government has taken some steps to develop storage facilities. Now, what do you mean by this paragraph? Now, when a farmer has a crop to sell, so there is a lot and lots of crop, right? So the farmer has to store it properly, because if he will not store it, the pesticides, the rodents, the rats will eat his crop. So he needs a proper storage facility. Big containers are needed to store the crops, right? But because of lack of storage facilities here, he has to sell all his crop at once. Now when he is selling all his crop at once, he is not getting that much of profit, because he is selling at a very nominal rate right now. But if he will sell when the demand is high, he will get more rate for his crop, right? So because of lack storage facilities, he is not earning much. This is a problem in India. Now let's read about the other case study, a farm in the USA. The average size of a farm in the USA is much larger than that of an Indian farm. Now here in India we read that Munna Lal has only 1.5 hectares of a field. But a typical farm size in the USA is about 250 hectares. See comparatively how big this is. The farmer generally resides in the farm. Some of the major crops grown are corn, soybean, wheat, cotton and sugar beet. Joe Horan, a farmer in the Midwest USA, in Iowa State, owns about 300 hectares of land. He grows corn on his field after making sure that soil and water resources meets the needs of his crop. Adequate measures are taken to control pests that can damage the crop. Now, adequate measures are already taken to control the pest. Pest means rats can come, then pesticides and small insects can damage the crop. From time to time, he sends the soil samples to a soil testing laboratory to check whether the nutrients are sufficient or not. The results help Joe Horan to plan a scientific fertilizer program. His computer is linked to the satellite, which gives him a precise picture of his field. See, here you can also see the precise picture of his field, how big his field is. This helps him to use chemical fertilizers and pesticides wherever they are required. He uses tractors, seed drills, leveler, combined harvester and thresher to perform various agricultural operations. Grains are stored in the automated grain storage or dispatched to the market agencies. The farmer in USA works like a businessman and not like a peasant farmer, right? So now you can compare. Now comparatively you can see how Munna Lal was managing. He just have one tractor which he has also taken on rent. He doesn't even own a tractor, right? When he has very small space to cultivate. Comparative to USA farmer, he has tractors, so many machines he has. Then he has so much facilities. That is why these people are earning more and more. Here we come to the end of this chapter. Thank you.